Here's the question. Why was there law in the garden? Listen to these verses, Genesis 16 and 17 from chapter 2. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, you may surely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it you shall surely die. So Adam's in the Garden of Eden, he's in paradise. He is in a world that is as God perfectly intended it to be. And in that paradise, God gives this command to Adam, don't eat from this tree. My initial thought when I hear that or read that is, shouldn't paradise be a place that's void of all commands? Like, shouldn't paradise be where there's complete freedom, where there are no rules? But think about that for a second. Is that freedom? I mean, take alcohol as an example. Is freedom the untethered allowance to drink to the excess? The United States is said to have spent $2 billion a year to cover health and recovery expenses for alcoholics because they're dying from it. Their worlds are falling apart from it and they can't escape it, which sounds for a lot of people a lot more than like slavery, than freedom. Take pornography. In 2000, there was an article by the London Independent. It said this: pornography is becoming a part of popular culture and is still the only business that can consistently turn a profit on the net. Pornographers, particularly in the US, but also in Europe, have been the driving force of the internet. Like they're saying, the porn industry, unrestrained, has become this superpower in our world. And the result, though, is people being bombarded by it, resulting in incredible amounts of people being addicted to it and so losing control of their lives. Again, is that the sound of freedom? Or is true freedom where we are actually protected from enslavement and protected from abuse and protected from evil? The English philosopher John Locke said this once. He said, the end of the law, like the purpose of the law, is not to abolish or restrain freedom, but to preserve and enlarge it. Where there is no law, there is no freedom. So it's actually out of God's goodness and mercy, like out of his desire to give Adam true freedom, that he lays out what is at stake should Adam trust God's words or refuse them. Like this prohibition against eating from the tree is to protect Adam's freedom, not to take it away. Still, you might say, well, why was the tree there in the first place? Just think about one more aspect of kind of law and freedom. If there's no law, how could Adam truly show devotion and loyalty to God? Martin Luther says it like this, and says it best, I think. The tree was Adam's church, his altar, his pulpit. Here he was to yield to God the obedience he owed, give recognition to the word and will of God, and to call upon God for aid against temptation. That's to say that in the garden was true freedom and the chance to worship God by way of obedience, and all through one merciful prescription: but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat.